was and what I discovered happens through the course of that rehab. I was there for 21 days. And in that 21 days, I accepted the fact that I had a drug and alcohol problem. I accepted the fact that it was a disease that could be treated. I accepted the fact that I am homosexual. I accepted the fact that I could live a full and rich life with love in my life. And that's what I consider God to be, love. So with an unconditional love in my life that exists inside and outside of me, I can embrace who I am and love me for who I am and live a productive and constructive life here in society. And that's what I've been doing now since then. And while there, of course, I've told the story many times about how the first book I wrote was My Daily Alcoholic and Addict Prayer, Prevention, Recovery, and Help Ritual started out as a help list that I began to write while in rehab because I knew I needed a way to keep my mind focused and to stay straight, so to speak, outside of that rehab environment. A daily mini rehab for me, which is about a 15-minute, a 10 to 15-minute process in the morning of prayer, meditation, and affirmation. And then in the evening, there's some prayer, some meditation, and assessments as well as affirmations, which last about 5 minutes. So it's really, really brief, but I've been doing it every day. It began in rehab, but I've been doing it every day since I've been out of rehab. So for nearly 2 years now, at least a year and a half now, it's a process that I go through every day. And it helps keep me focused, helps keep me happy, joyous, and free. And sometimes, you know, I'm not as happy as I would like to be. You know, so some people say, well, okay, you say you're happy, joyous, and free. Does that mean you never get sad? No, that doesn't mean that I never get sad. I do get sad. I do get depressed sometimes. I do feel lonely sometimes. I have all of the myriad emotions that every other human being has, but not to the extent and to the degree that I want to run from them to a substance. In both my books, My Daily Alcoholic and Addict Prayer, as well as in My Daily Recovery Ritual, there are two affirmations that I make. And those affirmations are these. The first is, whenever I feel emotionally overwhelmed, I will exercise butt therapy, which means I will sit my butt down somewhere and do something else to take my mind and my emotions from that thing or place or event that's causing that stress, that negative stress. Do something differently. Watch TV, go to a movie, read a book, write in my journal, something that's going to take me away from it. And then when I can ease back up on the event, I can analyze it and assess it from a more objective place and say, now, why did that make me feel so stressed out or so emotionally overwhelmed? And in that analysis phase and analyzing it, I don't feel as emotionally overwhelmed as I did initially. That works. The other tool that I have is the 2-minute meditation, the mindfulness exercise. Stop, take 2 minutes, sit, close my eyes, and focus just on my breath for 2 minutes. And shut my mind down, do as much as I can to shut my body down so that everything is just an inhaling and exhaling. That's all I'm focusing on. And so it takes my mind from the event. It reduces that level of stress that's caused by that overwhelming sense of emotional upheaval that's taking place. And I can now reapproach it from a calmer perspective and understand better what triggered the initial reaction. And so I'm not as prone. I mean, the fact that I've given up cigarettes, my gosh, who would have thought? You know, I started smoking cigarettes when I was 8 years old. That's 42 years ago. 42 years ago. I gave up cigarettes 6 months ago, June 13th, 2013, and I haven't picked up one since. And I only want one every so often after a certain meal. It doesn't happen after every meal, but after, and it doesn't happen every day, but some days after a particular meal, I don't know, it doesn't make any difference. It's random. It seems that it's random. I'll think, wow, I should have it. I want a cigarette. And right after that thought, the other thought that follows up is, okay, and then what? What's the purpose of that? You know, what good is a cigarette going to do you? Well, a cigarette isn't going to do me any good, not financially, not physically, not emotionally, not psychologically. A cigarette isn't going to do me any good at all. Okay, so what sense does that make? That makes absolutely no sense. All right, so let's not be a child. Let's be an adult and say, okay, well, that doesn't make any sense. That's not good for me. I will not do that. And many years ago, my mom's philosophy, and she taught and shared with me, and I've heard it other places, everything that's good to you is not good for you. And as a child, and even as an adult, I didn't care if it was good for me or not. If it was good to me, I had a perfect right to do it because I'm grown and I could do whatever. What kind of juvenile, immature thinking is that? And you know, and I love my friends, believe me, I love all of my friends that work in the substance abuse, substance use disorder field. But a number of us have issues. We can't stop smoking, we can't stop overeating, and yet we're trying to help people. Okay, I'm gonna leave that alone. Okay. But at the end of the day, I hope that I've said something that you can identify with. And at the end of that, I hope that you can see, despite all of those things, those negative things that have happened and negative things that do happen, there's a way around those. And that's what Recovery Coaching Services of New York is about, helping you find your way. My way was developed by the tools that I knew were available to me, which was, okay, figure out what's working while you're in rehab. I didn't do a lot of quote unquote prayer, and even now my prayers are not it's not the Our Father or Hail Mary. You know, you've got to get the book or look on the there's a page here on the site with excerpts from the books, and you'll be able to exactly see, you know, what my prayers actually look like. So do that and check that out. But that's been working for me, and it still does. And it's especially important at this time of year during holiday seasons. You know, we get depressed during holidays. People who are dealing with substance use disorders, people who are dealing with mental illness disorders, mental health disorders. Holidays are always high stress. And young adults and teens who are growing up different, you know, gay, or especially that, you know, are growing up in an environment or society where they're not accepted for who they are in their own families, let alone in their communities, all across the country and even around the world. And as a result, many of them take their own lives because they don't know how to cope, or how to get out of that circumstance, or if there's a place for them. At Recovery Coaching Services of New York, there's a place for everyone. I mean, without exception. I don't care what your background is. I don't care what you've been through. I understand. I may not share your specific experiences, but emotions, like music, is universal. Love is love. Hate is hate. Anger is anger. Pain is pain. Anguish is anguish. Happiness is happiness. Joy is joy. Serenity is serenity. And I want to help you find it. So please, 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 ma'am, please, sir, please, young lady, please, young man, avail yourselves of the services of Recovery Coaching Services of New York, LLC. Any way you can. Listen, we chat here, Skype one-on-one, and whether or not you can afford to pay the fee that we ask, we provide the service. We want to help. And we want you to always remember, you're not alone. As long as Recovery Coaching Services of New York is in the earth, you are never by yourself. You can always access us. We're on the internet. We're on the phone. We can get up in your face. Where are you at? if we can, we'll do an Olita Adams. We'll reach you if we can in any way that we can. I appreciate all of you all around the world who continue to contribute to my health and well-being by encouraging me to continue to do the great work that I'm doing, and by referring others to me to help me. And those of you in New York City particularly, we have a great opportunity to utilize Recovery Coaching Services of New York as we incorporate peer support services into our rehab, outpatient rehab programs. So please avail yourselves of our services. We're here to help. Until next time, remember, above all things, I wish you wellness.